What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Top at LA. They say Los Angeles is a city of dreams, but some dreams never wake up. Beneath the sunshine and palm trees lies a history that most don't want to talk about. These are the stories that echo alleyways, hotel hallways, and quiet neighborhoods long after the cameras stop rolling. I'm Top At, and these are 10 chilling true crime stories that still haunt Los Angeles to this day. Come on, y'all, let's get into the video.
1. The Black Dahlia Murder, 1947. One of the most infamous unsolved murders in history, Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, was found brutally murdered and bisected in an empty lot. Her killer was never identified. 2.
Hey, you know what's crazy about the Black Dahlia murders? I mean, I always heard about them, never really looked into it. It was like before my time. But when I found out where it happened at, it was crazy to me because it happened like at a place that I like frequent. I've been around a lot. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the neighborhood, Leimert Park area where it happened. And that was just real strange that something like that really like happened, that was that big of a thing that happened, you know, other than the Night Stalker. That was crazy too. Like I was young when that happened, but.
1984 to 1985. Richard Ramirez, the infamous Night Stalker, terrorized LA, breaking into homes, murdering, torturing, and assaulting victims at random. He was finally caught when citizens beat him down and held him for police. 3.
Hey, now that was crazy to see. Like that happened live on TV. They recognized him. His own people, the own Hispanic community, man, I have to give it to him. They handled their business, man. That was a scary time, man. Like in Los Angeles, I was young. I forget how old I was, but I was young, and it was scary. My mom, she worked night shift. She worked the swing shift, 3 to 11, and I was a latchkey kid. I get home and make sure my sister got home, make sure we had whatever heated up, whatever dinner my mom cooked or even made dinner, and sit there and watch TV or, got ready for bed, took showers, whatever, get ready to bed and go to school. And I used to be so worried that I couldn't even like do that last part because I couldn't wait till my mom got home. It was scary, But anyway, to see that on the news was crazy. They chased him down, beat him with sticks, just beat him down until the police got there, man. And I think that need to self-policing, man, sometimes it's needed, like for real.
Wonderland Murders, 1981. A gruesome drug-related massacre in Laurel Canyon left 4 people bludgeoned to death. The case remains shrouded in mystery, with porn star John Holmes suspected of involvement but never convicted. The Grim Sleeper, 1985 to 2007. Serial killer Lonnie.
The last one, the one before that, I already know too much about that one. But this Grim Sleeper guy, it's crazy because my ex-wife, mom, was a victim of that. He didn't kill her, but he held a knife to my ex-wife while she was a kid and assaulted her mom. And when the whole thing came up where I guess it was a case or whatever where they caught him or whatever or something like that, she had to go down there and testify and everything. And she was clearly shooken up. It was like she didn't even want to do it at first. And I think her daughters talked her into doing it. Yeah, that's crazy. It was crazy to know somebody who was like directly affected by that. It was crazy.
Franklin Jr., known as the Grim Sleeper, killed at least 10 women over 2 decades. He was caught in 2010 after DNA evidence linked him to the crimes. 5. The Hillside.
Hey, the crazy part about it wasn't even his DNA that connected him to it was his DNA, but it wasn't even his actual DNA. They had DNA sample from his son because his son committed a felony in Los Angeles. If you committed a felony or if you charged with a felony, whether you convicted or not, they take a DNA sample from you, right? So by them doing that, when they ran it, it came back as a hit on all these murders. And they knew it wasn't him, it was somebody close to Brayton. It was his father. And that's how he was caught. After all the media, that's crazy.
Hillside Stranglers, 1977 to 1978. Cousins Angelo Buono and Kenneth Bianchi posed as cops, kidnapping and strangling 10 women before dumping their bodies around Los Angeles. Their reign of terror lasted over a year before they were caught. 6. The murder of Rebecca Zahau, 2011. Rebecca Zahau was found hanging naked from a balcony in a San Diego mansion belonging to a wealthy LA family. Authorities ruled it a suicide, but many believe she was murdered in a bizarre crime.
Probably so.
7. The Manson Family Murders, 1969.
Before my time.
Charles Manson and his cult followers brutally murdered 7 people, including actress Sharon Tate, in a 2-night killing spree meant to start a race war, which he called Helter Skelter.
I'm glad it didn't work.
The Hollywood Ripper, 1993 to 2008. Michael Gargiulo,
I don't remember
aka
this
the
one.
Hollywood Ripper, was a serial killer and home invader who murdered several women, including one who had been scheduled for a date with actor Ashton Kutcher the night she was killed.
Damn.
9. The Disappearance of Mitrice Richardson, 2009. After being arrested for erratic behavior, Mitrice Richardson was released alone into the night from an LA County Sheriff's Station. Her remains were found months later, but her death remains a mystery.
It's crazy.
10. LA's Cecil Hotel Mysteries. The Cecil Hotel has been linked to murders, suicides, and serial killers like Richard.
This is a creepy hotel in Los Angeles, y'all. Real creepy, man. I actually stayed at a hotel near that, and that hotel was equally as creepy. What was the name of it? I didn't stay there. I went to a party there. Dang, I don't remember the name of that hotel. But anyway, this hotel is real creepy, man. They have a lot of low income people who actually one side they use as a hotel. What they used to back then when all this happened, one side was used as a hotel, one side was used for like low income, like the homeless people used to be there. Used to be a lot of drug activity, a lot of nefarious things that went on up at that hotel. On top of it, claims of it being haunted, like for any talk to anybody in Los Angeles about the Cecil Hotel, they could have Cecil, but the Cecil Hotel, and it's a lot of strange things. People have a lot of strange stories about that.
Ramirez. The most famous modern case is Elisa Lam's 2013 disappearance, where CCTV footage captured her behaving strangely before her body was found in the hotel's water tank.
Yeah, that was crazy. It didn't just it wasn't just found in the water tank like immediately. It was like a wow. It was like a big thing. Like they seen the video of her leaving her hotel room, getting on the elevator, acting strange, getting off the elevator, and then she went out of frame and they didn't know what. So I had to think about maybe a month. It was some time. It was some time that passed. They were doing some type of maintenance on the water reservoir, and they found her body in there. This big old reservoir on top of the hotel. Yes, a lot of creepy things going on with Cecil Hotel. Like
the Cecil Hotel is one of the scariest places that I've ever stepped foot in. So to get into the hotel, we went earlier in August. We had to do some things to get in there, stuff that I'm not going to mention or be too graphic with, but we made our way in. And I should mention here that the security guard at the front told us that he doesn't go upstairs in the hotel unless he's got a group of 2 other people with him. Yeah, the security guard says he only goes up in pairs or threes. And he also was asking us, like, you guys have a knife, right? And we're like, damn, no. So hearing that from the security guard was a little freaky. But one of the residents who gave us an impromptu tour of some of the floors was telling us some really disturbing, shocking things. She said that since she moved in 2 years ago, there have been somewhere between 15 to 30 deaths inside of the Cecil Hotel. She mentioned that some of those deaths were overdoses. Some of those deaths were people ending their own lives. And I was just shocked by how many residents that we spoke with who lived in the hotel, who had paranormal experiences living there. Like this one woman who was speaking with us said that her and her boyfriend heard a little girl singing in the hallway. And when they opened the door, they saw this little girl, looked at her, they both saw her, and then she just vanished into thin air. And another woman told us that she sees this French man standing by the elevator all the time, gazing off. He's got a briefcase and glasses on. She thinks she gets the vibe that this was someone who took their own life.
If you're from Los Angeles and you've never been there, you know somebody who have been there, or you know somebody who knows somebody with a story about the Cecil Hotel. It's crazy, man. It's crazy for real. Like I believe that spirits could be trapped. That's why I don't ever want to die like inside of a house or a hospital or anything like that.
When they reopened the Cecil as affordable housing and the halls were pristine, they were talking about how they're going to really crack down on this place and they're going to do their best to provide so much. They're going to, put their best foot forward and help out those individuals that are being placed in the hotel. And when you're in there, It's not like that. There is a major lack of management there. I talked to a police officer from my video who told me about how many phone calls they get a day. 2, he said, a day from the Cecil. There is violence. There were women that were telling me about sexual assaults that happen in there. People telling us about gangs that control floors that will stab you if you hear the wrong thing. It's truly like a place I have never been in my life. And in my video, I compare the Cecil Hotel in my mind.
Controlling floors like they blocks is wild. I never been in there like that. Like I knew somebody who lived there. I didn't know they lived there until like way after they lived there, and they told me some wild stories. And the floor thing, the controlling floors, that's one thing. Just the whole drug scene there, period, is wild. So the overdoses, that's not a surprise to me. It's crazy, man. And on top of the violence, the gangs, the drugs, the whatever else going on up in there, the paranormal. You know, you got people seeing little girls, people hearing people sing, this a lot of weird activity going on. You know, it's like I would never set foot in there.
To a character in its own horror story, almost like the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. Because seriously, if you examine all of these incidents, all the strings of people that took their own lives in the Cecil, the people who were murdered in the Cecil, the bizarre deaths, just all of the crazy violent stuff that is not death related. I'm talking about attempts to end people's lives that are never, talked about. I'm talking about overdoses, of which there are probably thousands in the building. And yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable in there. It seems like the Cecil itself is this entity, and not a good one. It's really like a vortex of energy. And
a lot of people didn't hear about the Cecil until the disappearance of that girl, the one who was found in the water reservoir. But I've been hearing stories about the Cecil since I was younger, man. Paranormal, violence, drug activity.
Currently standing in front of one of the most talked about buildings in all of true crime history. This is the Cecil Hotel. Built in 1924, it was meant to be a luxury hotel for wealthy travelers in downtown Los Angeles. Soon after, the Great Depression hit, and instead of it staying glamorous, it quickly turned into a budget hotel in the middle of Skid Row. And from there, its reputation spiraled. Over the next few decades, countless unexplained deaths took place inside, giving it the dark reputation the hotel was never able to shake. It's not to say they didn't try, though. In 2011, part of the building was rebranded as the Stay on Main Hotel and marketed as an affordable destination for those visiting Los Angeles.
Another side was rented out to drug addicts and drug dealers and murderers and killers and gangbangers.
Hotel in downtown Los Angeles is one of the most infamous buildings in the world. With nearly 100 years of chilling history, it has been a site of mysterious deaths, suicides, murders, and even ties to serial killers. From the moment it opened its doors in 1927, the hotel was meant to be a luxurious place for business travelers and tourists. But as the years went on, it became something far darker. A place of tragedy, despair, and paranormal whispers that refused to fade. In the 1930s to 1960s, were known as the hotel's suicide era. People would check in and never check out alive. Guests jumped from upper floors, some landing on sidewalks.
So dang, was people going there to take themselves out, or were they possessed with something that made them take themselves, or did they see something they just couldn't take into? So many questions, man. So many questions. This is crazy, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about this one in the comments.
Others on unfortunate bystanders. Pauline Auditon jumped in 1962 and killed a man walking below. Neither knew the other. Two strangers united in death. The bodies kept piling up. Locals started calling it the Suicide Hotel. Two notorious serial killers used the Cecil as a hunting ground. In the 1980s, Richard Ramirez brutally murdered and assaulted victims across Los Angeles. He would return to the Cecil, sometimes blood-soaked, and walked in unnoticed. The hotel was already too used to darkness. In 1991, Jack Unterweger stayed at the Cecil under the guise of being a crime journalist. Instead, he murdered at least 3 women, strangling them with their own bras. just like he did in Europe.
Not only was it strange things going on in the hotel with the suicides and the murders or whatever, it was attracting evil people. That's crazy, man. What? You have two of the most famous serial killers. This dude's an international serial killer right here, and they both was attracted to this hotel. That's crazy.
Famous and most chilling mystery of the Cecil is the case of Alyssa Lamb in 2013. She was a 21-year-old Canadian student who checked into the hotel and then vanished. The only clue is strange surveillance video from the elevator. Alyssa acts as if she's hiding or being chased. She presses all the buttons, steps in and out, and makes strange, unnatural hand gestures. It's as if she's speaking to something we can't see. Weeks later, guests complained that the water tasted strange and had low pressure. A maintenance worker climbed onto the roof and found her body floating in the water tank. The lid was heavy. No one knows how Alyssa got up there or in. Her clothes were missing. The death was ruled accidental, but the questions still haunt us. What was Alyssa running from? Who or what was with her in the elevator? How did she get into a sealed tank on a restricted rooftop? Many believe something supernatural was at play. After briefly rebranding as Stay on Main, the hotel closed in 2017 and reopened in 2021 as supportive housing for low-income residents. But even with new paint, new owners, and new people, the shadows remain. Because the Cecil Hotel is more than a building. It's a graveyard of souls, a getaway for darkness, and a reminder that some places should be left alone. Would you stay one night inside room 1432? Many tried. Not all of them left.
Damn.
The Cecil Hotel is truly like no other place I've ever experienced. From the entrance to the hallways, there's a lot that is going on in this building. I'm not gonna lie. People are always saying that, it's haunted, or that, there's a lot of murders that go on in the building. Yeah, that's all pretty much true. There's a lot of homeless people who have moved into the area, a lot of mentally ill, and a lot of violent people who just technically live here, and they're all technically just harboring in this place. To hear that this building was at one time a really beautiful building and it's just gone down to it's really sad. This is me being nosy. Like, I thought this room was vacant, but as I kind of looked, I'm like, oh shit, there's actually somebody in there. I'm like, let me close this and mind the business that pays me.
A reformed murderer walks free, becomes a best-selling author, and convinces the world that he's a changed man. But authorities spanning multiple nations would find out real quick that he wasn't reformed at all. After a history of disturbing attacks against women dating back to his teenage years, a now 20-something and still completely illiterate Jack Undeweger was sentenced to life in prison in 1976 for fatally strangling an 18-year-old girl with her own bra. And now that he had a lot of time to kill, he's like, hey, what about this reading and writing thing? I'm gonna dabble. Flash forward 15 years, this guy's a renowned writer, poet. He's written plays, novels, you name it, that are getting acclaim outside the prison walls. One of his books, Purgatory, basically his own autobiographical account of his time behind bars and now a reformed prisoner, became a bestseller and was adapted.
How'd they get this wrong? How did y'all get this wrong? I never heard of this guy before. He's associated with the Cecil Hotel. That's why I'm bringing him up. But how did they get this guy wrong? Like, how did they not get him the first time and let him continue on doing what he's doing? And on top of that, become a renowned author. That's kind of wild to me.
Adapted into a movie in 1988. In 1990, after a steady flow of support from elites in the literary world and petitions to give this guy a second chance, Jack Undeweger was released from prison and walked out those prison doors an instant celebrity, straight into giving readings, staging his plays.
Oh, he did all that in jail. Okay. But damn, they let him out.
started working as a journalist. By 1991, his reporting had taken him all over, including the US, where he'd stay at the infamous Cecil Hotel, tasked with investigating the state of the sex worker scene in America. Great idea. It was around this time that law enforcement agencies across...
So they send a man that was known for killing women to go investigate sexual workers in Los Angeles. That's sick in itself right there.
Multiple countries started noticing something odd. Everywhere this guy touched down, women's bodies were being found with their own bras wrapped around their neck with the same distinct knot, and the same method found on 18-year-old Margaret Schaefer, Jack's first victim, back in 1974. 7 victims alone turned up in Austria, where Jack was from, and he even covered the story as a reporter, interviewed the chief of police. Anyway, back to the US, where he's doing his story. Of course, he was doing a whole lot more than just a story, and 3 more deceased women turned up right around the Cecil Hotel. He's eventually tracked down in Miami. The FBI had actually posed as a magazine, offering him 10 grand.
That's my birthday. That's crazy. February 27th, this dude was caught. My birthday.
And to sit down, tell us your story, and he took the bait. They arrested him, extradited him back to Austria. On the day his sentence was read, he was found unresponsive in his cell. He had applied the same distinct knot he'd used in his crimes to himself using his own prison attire.
Hey man, let me know what y'all think about the new content. It's your boy Top out of LA. Like always, I appreciate the love. I'm out.